All right, gather around, kids. Let's talk a little story about capitalism. I know you guys like it. I know you guys all dig it. But this is just such a great example of the stupidity that surrounds the venture capital markets and the neoliberal. Remember, neoliberal doesn't mean super liberal. It means quite the opposite. Crazy capitalists. Okay, and back in the day, like a couple of years ago, you didn't care about making money. What you cared about was raising money. And if that sounds really broken, it is. But if you started a studio like mine, so we were at the very beginning of this trend. I'll admit, I'm part of the problem. We raised enough money to make our game, and that was what we were going to do, and then we were going to live off the profits of the game. Things change. All right, but that was our goal. But now what you see is a lot of studios thinking, well, or back then, this has cleared its way out, is our goal isn't actually to make games, and it isn't to sell games. What our goal is to be able to raise even more money. Some of this is just because then if you're the CEO, you can just pocket that money. Me, I got paid less than anybody else at my company and eventually lent my company money to make payroll for people. Okay? So I say I'm part of the problem, but I'm also going to say I think I washed my hands of being part of the problem. But these guys, these CEOs were like, hey, I can't have a salary of $1 million if we only have one studio. But if we have 3 studios, I mean, come on. How do I not have $1 million? I mean, look at Embracer. Embracer's just like, hey, we don't care if any of these terms we're giving you make any sense. Like, hey, yeah, the next I don't know, whatever stupid game. I don't want to pick a studio here. That's why I paused. But the next stupid game you make that you only made $30 million last time, we're going to project you make $200 billion. Hey, look, my salary should go up. And that's how CEOs and people at the top took a lot of money out of those raises. And those raises then didn't project into any good games, right? Like, there is no studio that got started this way. Again, you do the 3 studios, and a lot of this money was raised not by game people. It was raised outside of it. I'm looking at you, probably monsters, as all private funding. Jerry Jones. So yeah. So if you want to look at the one silver side of Concord, as Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, that was his failure too. So yeah, F him. But that was it. That was the whole idea, is if we get big enough, if we start 3 studios, we can go to these people like Jerry Jones who aren't very intelligent, but just have a bunch of money and say, oh my God, look, if we're 3, take Minecraft, take PUBG, combine their revenue, and then times it by 3. Yo! I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. When we went back out for a raise and I got really cynical, I asked somebody, in the finals, because they're like, well, you have to have projections. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do projections. Projections are made up. I asked somebody then when they insisted, I'm like, do I take Minecraft and PUBG and multiply them or add them? Because that's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you just ridiculous hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. Who the hell knows, right? And it was just all the rage. And it was all the rage not to make money, but just to be able to raise more money. So the worst thing you could do is release a game, which is why there's a whole bunch of studios. And I feel for some of these founders, because some of them are legitimately trying and they're trying to do good things. But there's a whole bunch of BS founders too out there, and F them. But there's a whole bunch of founders that left other studios, took big pay, they got the big raise. They, like, when I say raise, they raised money for their company. They raised, tens of millions of dollars. They're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they're like, the worst thing they could do is ship a game. Because the minute they ship a game, people are like, well, you didn't make any money. You're a loser. We're not going to make any money on you. And it's like, so don't. So you don't. Yeah, what you do then is you fire people so you have a smaller payroll and you can keep your money, and you can then go back out and point out how efficient you are and raise more money. Because the goal isn't to make money, it's to raise money. And it is a Ponzi scheme. And you're like, well, why would these VCs do this? That's crazy. Oh, because remember, they don't get hurt. The VCs get a carry fee. So they get 2.5% or something like that normally. So if they raise $100 million, they're going to take, 2.5 million. And they're going to need to manage that money. And then they get other fees, and they sock it to it. And so who's the people giving them the monies? It's endowments. It's unions. It's teachers' funds. It's people who have a lot of money, and it's hard when you have a lot of money of where do you invest it? Where do you put it? Because if you just invest in stocks, you're going to actually influence the stocks in a negative way because you're going to inflate them when they shouldn't be and like all this stuff, right? So, hey, you're going to do this. You're going to be smart. And these VCs are all like, well, yeah, I mean, our funds don't make money, but we raise a lot of money. Like, what? And it's this big circle of shit. And that is where we've gotten into the problem. And especially in the game industry, it is going to get even worse. I'm surprised VC still exists in the game industry because I cannot tell you a successful gaming VC because people like A16Z, so that's the horrible human being Andreessen Horowitz, who eats babies for a living and is so horrific of a human being, Mark Zuckerberg had to apologize for his behavior. Like, when you have Mark Zuckerberg going, hey, that crazy man doesn't represent us, you know you're a real lumpa. So they give $750,000. They give us some like quick starter fee, join our round, because they have so much money they don't know what to do with it. They don't want to have to analyze and look at people. So they can just give them $750,000, and for that they own like 10% of the company or something, whatever. Like if you go look at the terms, none of the terms are on the page, trust me. But people are like, okay, well that's $750,000 because I only have one studio. Now if you had 3 studios, you could have gotten more. But no, you just have one studio and just trying to make a game, and hey, if someone's finally giving you money and your buddies can finally make payroll. They're not making any money off of that. It's all just a big Ponzi scheme, scam running to bilk the teachers union, right? That is. I know you don't get politics about this, but man, Lena Khan at the FTC was starting to unwind some of this crap. There is some real looking at this, and now you put those people who want that stuff in charge. And it ain't going to be good. Excuse me. It will be great for them.